4 years ago, I made a video called What the Hill because I woke up one morning and Trump was president and I was like, huh? So this is the first election I voted. I'm 34 years old. Should I be ashamed of myself? Because no, because I've never voted. No. Why? Because even though I did vote this time, I did it out of the principle of morality. I actually think the Electoral College is flawed. I live in, a traditionally Democratic area, which has been blue for decades on decades on decades on decades, okay? So prove me wrong, flip my state, and then I'll take it more seriously. I didn't want to sit this one out, I really felt like you needed my help with a round of applause because I was just so appalled for the last 4 years having to hear all of the hate speech and the bigotry out of this man's mouth from, saying hate speech about Muslims, black people, Hispanics, women, LGBTQ, etc. I mean, you name it, this dude, like, he was just an awful human being, All he had to do, literally, all he had to do was be a nice person and he would have won this election. Not a nice politician, a nice person, he would have won the election. For 4 years, without even trying to watch the news, I've seen him mock people, I've seen him just be super mean and nasty and just unpolished, and it speaks for himself when you have his own staff. Either you're being fired or you're quitting, and maybe we should check on them to see if some of them are still alive. You don't want to be Epstein these days. You watch this country like tear each other apart, like all the Black Lives Matter protests, the Me Too movement, everything. Like, people are just like after each other. And to be completely honest, I'm not saying that's all Trump's fault. It's not. We're a society that, again, why is this election so great and grand? It's like, oh, finally, like, women have had the right to vote for like 100 years, and now you have a VP in office that's a female. It's a big election in that capacity, but that just goes to show you, like, women and black people didn't have the same opportunities, and it wasn't just because of these 4 years with Trump. We are a significantly divided country overall. Not everybody is equal. It just isn't. It's a growing process, and he actually was the first person that made me feel like we took some steps backwards. I also didn't like how there was a lot of Trump supporters in my life who were just not articulate human beings. Everything out of their mouth had to do with some part of the hateful speech that Trump said, like calling AOC Pocahontas or the Kung flu and the China virus. That stuff was repeated by Trump supporters, which, to me, if you're gonna be a Trump supporter and you're into his policies, and that's fine. But how can you sit there and call yourself like a proud American and like a good human being when you're repeating those negative things? It speaks to your character as well. And I've kept my mouth shut for 4 years around these types of people because it's literally not worth it. It has always been not worth it. For me, it never came down to policy, and I think for a lot of people, it really didn't come down to policy. It came down to, you don't want this motherfucker in the White House. You ruined the souls of Americans so much that you had the biggest voter turnout in years, ever. Like, I was gonna read a whole bunch of negative things he said, but I don't really think I have to, because this dude said so much shit for like the past 4 years. And I didn't even go beyond when he was still a public figure and he used like hateful speech throughout his life. I didn't even go that far. Great relationship with the blacks, and I have thousands of Hispanics that work for me. Dude, you can't say that. Like, you can't say that. And maybe it is cancel culture, and maybe we are just a big ball of sensitivity, right? And maybe the facts are that Trump has done X, Y, and Z really good for this group of people, or X, Y, and Z really awesome for the entire country, or like now we have awesomer relationships with like other. You don't see and you don't hear that because of the word vomit that comes out of his mouth that is so negative. He dropped the ball with COVID, and there's literally nothing you could do to take back all of the millions of people who have literally died, right? We didn't see you doing enough, but we did hear you on tape saying all of the words we didn't know that you knew in earlier in the year. We see there's proof of it, and that is the difference between all past elections and candidates, because at the end of the day, I never saw Hillary hit and delete in her emails. I didn't see that, and I didn't see Bill Clinton getting had in the Oval Office, although I totally would have liked to see that. I didn't see that, no. I didn't see Obama and Biden, building cages for kids with their hammers and nails. I didn't see that either, even if they did. But what I did see was Trump up there basically saying, I've done more for black people since Abraham Lincoln. So, okay. On behalf of Abraham Lincoln and the rest of America, don't you dare ever fucking compare yourself to him. Biden and Harris, take us someplace nice. Tropical, if you will. I'm totally down. Let's get rid of this virus because, you know, it's a little bit it's like a week past the election at this point, so based on historical patterns, the virus should be wrapping up shortly, right? Right? I voted for the first time, and I did it for morality. I did not do it because I thought my state would flip. I knew it would not. I did it because I wanted to be a part of this historical time, because I don't think something this disastrous will happen again in my lifetime. And if I had to really truly project, I think Biden's gonna bust a hip, and Kamala's gonna be our first female president. This country could really only get better. Just the celebration is like a weight was like lifted off of America, and we can finally just like move forward. And you know what? In 4 years, if we don't like what Biden does, we get a new president. But there's no way that Biden could ever be worse. There's no way any other president could ever be worse than what Donald Trump put this country through for 4 years. Strictly based off of character. You're in a new era. The millennials are here. Sadly, they are pains in the asses, but guess what? We're phasing out all those rich white men, and you have to cater to your demographic. So, yeah, all those liberal college kids, they're all adults and they're all voting, and you just gotta suck it the fuck up. Finally, I think this was the best part of 2020. Getting a new president, and that's all I gotta say. We're done.